Melissa and Ida. Melissa is, of course, one of our podcast potties here that's with us, and Ida, the two Latinas who describe themselves as holistic and soulful therapists. And they are here to tell us about them and their work, but also about their upcoming day retreat for women of color on October 18th. The retreat name is Rise and Reflect. So tell us a bit about who you are and the work that you do. We'll start with you, Ida, since you're our guest.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me onto your podcast. I'm so excited to be here today. I was looking forward to this since earlier this week. My name is Aida Hernandez. I'm a licensed professional counselor. And I'm sharing that role first because that is the role that led to me meeting Melissa. And collaborating with her. I am in private practice here in New Jersey, and my practice is virtual and online. I am a Jersey girl, born and bred, and at this point have probably lived in a lot of different parts of the state. Grew up in North Jersey and presently located on the Jersey Shore. And a lot of people have questions because of the show and things like that. But just a Jersey Rican. I am a mother. I have two beautiful children, and I'm in the thick of it right now. My daughter's 8 years old. My son is 4. And I'm a big believer that that work informs life and life informs work. So my work as a counselor and a mental health worker and a holistic healer as an experiential therapist as well, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that today. A lot of what inspires me is by my own lived experience with my children, with my, in the partnership that I'm in with my husband, what I walk through life. And so I use that to inspire me as well as to reflect on the different versions of myself. And my hope is that I can guide my clients through those processes too. And I specialize working with women of color who are in different inflection points in their career life or their career lifespan. And most of the women that I see are usually women in their kind of late 20s, 30s, maybe even early 40s, that are really in that place where they have some experience, a lot of robust experience actually working. And maybe there is something going on. There's an inflection point in their life that now they're in a place of questioning. And the questioning brings up a lot of emotion and a lot of anxiety. So that's the work that I do. I also specialize in burnout recovery. I do have clients that are often burnt out at work, either through toxic work culture or perhaps from the day-to-day that they do. And so I work with those clients on their recovery burnout process and help guide them through that as well. So those are my specializations. And I know for women of color, there are often a lot of nuances and experiences with holding intersectional identities that are informed by work and inform work. So that's what I specialize in. And
Thank
psychodrama.
you.
And psychodrama, which is the experiential part, right? The
Mhm.
experienced embodied part. So I'm excited to talk about that today when we
Yes.
talk about Rise and Reflect.
And Melissa, we know you as our
You know me, but
yeah. But
I'll share about my work.
mhm.
I'm a licensed clinical social worker and hypnotherapist. I work with professional women of color who want to heal their inner child to kind of live, not kind of, but to live their authentic selves. My demographic is usually in their 30s, 40s, and soon 50s, similar to Ida, who more so have a spiritual awakening or have a space in their life where they're like, I have everything I need, and what do I want to heal to get to the next level? Because for some reason I have it all and I'm not happy. And then that gets into maybe I do need to heal from some wounds and some things that I've been through in my life. I work mainly with women of color and also men of color, and cultural and racial identity comes a lot in the environment, in the workspace. And I I identify more as soulful and holistic because I used to work with survivors of sexual trauma, and I saw and realized that the the fraction in the soul and in the heart center was missing for me. And at that time, they would only call spiritual therapists as religious therapists, like Christian or Jewish. And I started in my own healing journey, which often happens with therapists. We start to see that something's working, and then we want to bring it to our work. And I think that that's kind of how that journey started, that the holistic perspective of mind, body, spirit is so important in the healing process. And at the end of the day, we're healers. We're just doing it a different way than others, and others are doing it their own way. And that's
So how did you two meet? Where did it begin?
Sure, I can share. So, Melissa and I both joined this coaching program that's really designed for therapists that are questioning and learning and developing a growing edge around setting fees. And I know that might sound, if you're not in the therapy space, it's kind of like, oh, what about setting fees? And it's because in mental health, in the mental health industry, in the mental health culture, there often is a lot of tension that we hold around serving community and claiming a fee that can sustain us for this really important work that we do. And so there's a program called Lean and Make Bank, LIM for short, and it is a cohort based coaching program where you get to question this with a lot of beautiful support. And there's different therapists from all across from other countries as well who support each other as we decide to reclaim the kind of reclaim the narrative around therapy and cost, and support each other in raising fees, raising our fees, and practicing, what is it like to talk about the work that we do with the worth that the work is, right? So Melissa and I met there. They encourage people to connect and find accountability buddies. And so Melissa and I exchanged our information, and I think we chatted for a little bit, and then we kind of took a pause and then reconnected sometime later. And we reconnected because we were both I was looking for a therapist in New Jersey. I was like, are there any therapists in this program that are in New Jersey? Because therapists are from all over, and I'm a big collaborator and connector. And so Melissa and I connected, and we were like, let's jump on a Zoom. Let's like have a coffee date on Zoom and let's get to know each other. And then we started talking, and we learned that we have a lot in common.
Mhm.
And so our Zoom chats turned into like Kiki sessions and like checking in with each other. And next thing you know, we would be like, let's talk for like an hour. And an hour would turn into like an hour and a half and 2 hours. And then like the Zoom is kicking us off. And hold on, I'm going to call you on the phone while I pick up my kids because this is a really great conversation that we're having. And that's kind of how we got started, how we started to connect.
Yeah, the program really focused on money mindset for the most part, and I think that we also talked about that a lot because social workers or mental health professionals in general, licensed counselors, all of us are really brainwashed to think that we can't make any money doing this, and especially social workers. And so there's a lot of undoing money mindset. Money is a symbol of a lot of other things in your life. So there's scarcity and there's abundance and all that. So we would have these awesome conversations beyond that. And we would check in like, oh my God, I raised my fee. I'm freaking out. What if I lose clients? What if they leave? And so that's a great, it's very important. And that would be called the top 5. Who are your top 5? Because if you're hanging out with a scarcity mindset, that's an easy mindset to go to. But
Yes.
it was really, she was one of the first people that I met in that way. And then like Aida said, we have so much in common that we have to keep it rise and reflect. We cannot talk. We cannot talk. 15 minutes of personal life, that's almost impossible. And then like the rest. So yeah, we started vibing in that way.
So how did that morph or kind of evolve into deciding to work together?
I mean, we had a lot in common work-wise as well as personally. And I think that for me, it started with a download, like what we call downloads, around I need to do this. I've always wanted to do retreats. That's a fact. Like I've always wanted to do retreats. And for some reason, it was like this. Like I had a download and a sort of like, when you're in and out of sleep. And I took out my notebook and I wrote down, and I'm like, Aida is the person to do this with, because I like the combo of the therapist and the spirituality. That's a beautiful like marriage. And I think that we're trained professionals, that we can, hold space for anyone that can come up, that gets triggered or has some sort of trauma that they can't handle if it comes up in the retreat. But beyond all of that, that's later. Just the initial thing was, let's bring our gifts and our skills and just do a day,
Yeah.
and I didn't say this earlier, but let me bring the astrology, bring your psychodrama. Let's bring music. Let's like get a conguera. And like, we're talking like this. This is literally how our meetings go. Let's get a conguera. Oh my God, that's such a good idea. Like, this is how we talk. These are our meetings. Like the creativity was flowing. And then I just reached out to her. I mean, she could have said no. I mean, at that point, it was just like my idea, an idea that literally was born at midnight. So that was how it started. And then she said, sure, let's set up a meeting and let's talk. And Yeah.
It sounds kinda like our podcast. I do that
Yeah.
with you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
almost like
Yes.
it's meant to be. Like it
But
would
Yes.
it's
was
It's
just
like
it
us in
alignment.
the head. Yeah,
but was it like
exactly.
a
Yeah.
hell yes for you, Ida, when she said it?
Mhm,
I kind of feel, well, I think about it like, when I think about how we came around to do Rise and Reflect, I think we were kind of in the process of warming up to it for probably since we met. When Melissa and I would have these calls and we would connect, we just found out that we had so much in common, not just as women, as two, Latinas of Puerto Rican descent, kind of navigating, 1.5 gen stuff, and also our personalities and the interests that we have, but also the way that we look at therapy and healing is so very similar, using culturally affirming practices, honoring ancestral family lineage. Like there's different things that we connected around really strongly. And so it turned out that like even our sessions just checking in, we would talk about the work. We would talk about, this is what I do. What is it that you do? How do you view this? How do you view healing? So we were having these conversations and we started to like test things out. Like I remember Melissa was like, why don't we do a live together? Let's just go on IG and let's just talk. And we're like, yeah, let's do it, because we're having these really great conversations and maybe someone's interested in what we have to say. So we started to just kind of play, and that felt really authentic and easy, because when you're playing, you're kind of enjoying it, right? That's part of the
Mhm.
definition of it. So we were just playing around with this and just enjoying it. So we did a few lives, and we would and then we would check in with each other. How did you feel about that? How do you think that went? Okay. So it was kind of like, taking something small, putting it out there, and then coming in and checking in with each other, like these little tests. So when Melissa had talked about like, let's do something together, because I think we would say like, we should do
Yeah.
something together, but it was kind of like, it wasn't concrete. It was like, yeah, we should. So when Melissa had said, why don't we do like a retreat? I said, yeah, like it felt really natural. It felt very odd. Like you had said, Sam, did it feel like automatic? I was like, yeah, I got really like energized when she had brought it up, because we both are really creative and we both are spiritual as well and holistic. And so we just knew like, okay, this is really strong energy. Like when we put it together, it just goes very, very quickly, both of our creative processes. So yeah, we were like, well, let's try it out. And so I think we threw like a date, a season out there, and
mhm.
we were like, you know what, let's try to do this in the season. Okay, great. All right, so let's see. Okay, so you know what? How about the next mini we sketch it out, and we just did it that way with a lot of intention.
Mhm.
And it was very successful.
A lot of
Yes.
intention and a lot of flow, though.
Yes.
As well. It was just flowed. It was like, "Oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do that." And
Mhm.
I feel like we didn't think we could do a live percussionist, like, we could afford it. We didn't think we could afford it. And I was like, "You know what?" And my soul is saying, we'll find somebody." And then I
Mhm.
did interview someone, but he was just very expensive, and rightfully so. I just we couldn't do it. And then, I'm like, "I don't know. I can't let it go. I can't let it go." Like, I can't let it go. And I put it to one of our therapist groups, which is a Latinx collective group of therapists, and they're amazing and helpful. Shout out to them if there are any Latinx therapists out there. It's a great community. And you put something out there with one of their offerings, one of their meetings. It's like somebody always delivers. And I said it, and one of them was like, "Oh yeah, my brother." And then her brother said, "No, I can't, but I have a couple of names." So it just effortless, even though it was a lot of work. Let's not get it twisted. But the effortless meaning, when something's in alignment, things fell into place and we just manifested it. So I was like, I don't know how we can afford this, but and she's wonderful. She's great. We hired her, and we're aligned with her. And yes, and we hired Eddie to do our catering, because we
Mhm.
wanted Latin professional or person to give our food, to do the music, do everything detailed and thought about for
Sounds
people.
like a party more than a retreat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music,
Yeah.
food,
Yes.
Well,
And
we
that's where the culture
gathering.
comes in.
yes.
The
Yeah,
culture.
that was all by design. Like when we were talking about what do we want this day to feel like? Well, we want people to feel affirmed. We want them to feel seen and connected. And we also want to bring in pieces of healing that have existed within our cultures, before talk therapy and the way that we use it now and know it to be. So, all of those things are important. And so we really develop them with love, and it's exciting. And people get excited about those things because you feel taken care of. You're like, you know what? I'm being taken care of in this way. I'm being nourished. I'm also going to connect in ways that are loud and in ways that are quiet, in ways that are with people, in ways where I can be with self. So we really designed a day that we both would love to step into ourselves and receive. I think that was the intent and the goal, was if we could, reverse roles with the person who would come here, what would we want? How would we want to feel? What would we want to see? And when you work from that place, it really much feels like that flow that Melissa talked about. There's a lot of ease in that. And then we just kind of talk about what's the guidance that we need. So Melissa consults with like an astrologer about some dates that could be good for the months that we're looking for, and she kind of brings in what's the work that we're looking to do at the retreat to kind of inform that day. Like what's the date that's good for this work? And also, the logistics, right? Like the space. Is the space available on this day? That makes a big difference too. Like what's going on, and are they free on the Saturday or on the Sunday? But yeah, we even pick the timing of the retreat with all that in mind.
It's Hispanic Heritage Month from the 15th to the
Yes,
It's a
15th.
plus. We
you're
didn't.
Yeah.
right.
September
Aw.
15th to October
October
15th,
15th.
but it's still there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
just missed it, yeah.
Yeah.
So what does the day entail? Like I mean, I went, but for everybody else that
Yeah.
hasn't, how would you describe the day?
Well, I want to say every retreat is different, even though the bones are the same. Like the outline is the same, but the theme is different. The exercises are a little different because we want to try different things. We try to keep the same format because it's worked, and we have a lot going on, so we want to not overwhelm ourselves. So it's from 10 to 5, and you come and just we come into the space. We have an altar. We get to know each other. We have a conversation with our guests, and we try to make them feel comfortable, and we start to talk about the theme. We don't want to get too much in detail, but like we do talk about the theme, and then we do use oracle cards as well, not tarot, oracle. Like we want like a direction to the theme and to discussion around the altar. Now, what the altar is basically paying an homage to our ancestors, to pay homage to maybe are those that have passed on in our lives. So some people bring their parents or a mom, or even the Puerto Rican flag. This Puerto Rican flag always goes
Mhm,
to
mhm,
that retreat.
mhm.
Homage to your culture. This is a retreat for women of color, so it's an homage to your culture. It's just really just honoring our ancestors and our culture, and that's where the cultural piece is so important here. And then you can continue, Ida. I don't want to take over.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I love that you brought up all these like beautiful pieces that we have, that we have an altar, just kind of reminding, those that are with us in community that, there's our present community of the day at the retreat. And then there's also our community that supports us, our community outside of the space, even including those that, are no longer with us in this physical plane, that they're part of this community too, because that is one of the ways that we design the retreat, right? Like having this healing occur in community, that each person in this space is helping you do the work. And so the way the day is designed is, when I think about it, I want someone to come in and to lose the sense of time, to just come in and feel like I don't have to look at my phone. I don't have to see what time it is. I can just be, as the day goes on, I can start to feel, over time, I can feel myself sink into myself, right? And just like anything new, when you walk into a new space and you're with people, there's an awkwardness, right? There's like all right, Ida seems kind of nice, and Melissa's chill, and I kind of sort of know this person, but there's that awkwardness. Like, this is new. I think I have an idea of what we're going to do, but what are we going to do? And so we kind of design the day. So the first part of the day, we're just kind of getting to know each other. We're doing exercises to kind of connect with each other, find where the connections are in the room, establishing that sense of like safety and comfort with each other. And then all of the different activities that we have designed are kind of to deepen the connection with what it is that you're bringing in. Oftentimes we go to retreats because there is something on our mind or something on our heart, and we just want to spend some time with it. Or maybe we want to let it go, or maybe there's just something we want to develop, right? And so the retreat is really designed to just over time kind of deepen the connection with that. And a myriad of other things. Sometimes going to the retreat is just to be around other women. Like, I don't know what I want. All I know is that the world feels noisy, and I just need to be in a space where people kind of get it. And so whatever your need is, our hope is that you can kind of spend some time with it, and have that need met. So the day entails kind of warm up activities and connection with each other. We also make space for like some quiet time and some journaling. We also do some didactic or what we call instructional pieces around astrology and inner child work. And there's action, the experiential part, right? The piece that we experienced and we embodied. So I practice psychodrama, which is an experiential modality of therapy where you take elements of drama and storytelling and basically use it to take like basically I'm going to take my issue and I'm going to act it out. And there's different types of techniques and training around that to kind of help the client recreate the story. And it's a super creative and collaborative process. So there's a little bit of that storytelling piece that we bring into the retreat. And then the drumming and the music, that is full embodiment as well that we're doing in community. And we close with that. We kind of start the day with getting to know the community, right? Like, we are all here. Where are the connections? Do you understand me? How can I share this here? And then we end with a drum circle, which is one of the most oldest ways that human beings have been connecting. So it's beautiful. It really is a beautiful day.
So Sam, you had firsthand experience.
Yes, I went to their first retreat. I didn't know what to expect. They do touch base beforehand, sending you an email of kind of like what to bring and kind of like initial expectation or initial questions or inflection, like reflection questions where you can kind of just prepare yourself for what you're about to step into. And it is an experience. And I like the fact that it was interactive. I'm in a room with other than Melissa. It was the first time I met Ida, I think. And then I didn't know anybody else there, and some people didn't know anybody at all. And so, it was fun in the sense of you're connecting with women, which I feel like, as women, we have the ability to connect and be very intimate and share parts of our heart and soul. And so I felt like it was a very safe place to do that. The women that were there, they all shared and participated in it. And they give you things to think about that you don't, or seeing a different perspective. Like the astrology piece was really interesting where people were like, oh, I didn't know that. Even myself, like I went home and I'm like, I have to look up my chart because I need to look at this, So for me, I felt like I learned something. And also I have to say that, souls are brought together in certain spaces. Me being a meditation teacher, I know that it takes a lot to hold space for people. And they did a great job with that. And I forgot my point, but left my brain. But I just felt like I said, like, you have the music, you have the food. I think the only thing you guys are missing was like a bonfire. Like, like seriously, like that's what it felt like. It was like everybody's coming in. It's a circle of women. We're here to support each other. And I feel like our generation doesn't have that. Like, maybe our grandmother's generation had that, or our mother's generation had that. Like, community is really more and more being lost. So it was nice to be part of a community of women, even if it was just for a day or for a moment. And now I remember my point. It was like I needed to hear some of the stuff I needed to hear that day that I probably wouldn't have heard if I hadn't gone. So I appreciate that very much. Because you have things going on in your head, or you have this inner knowing, but then you go to a retreat like this and it just confirms it. And so that for me was great because it gave me the push to be like, I'm going to go sign up for that class. I'm going to start taking the steps because I've been idle long enough and this is telling me to move. So for me, I appreciate that, the experience.
Well, I'm going to have to go to the next one. Well, not this one because I can't, but the fun one.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up psychodrama. Ida invited me, which I was very honored to attend her final certification.
My final on-site evaluation, which you have to do live in front of a proctor, basically. That's the last final test.
It was like 8 women, and I was one of them, and I sometimes even if you're not picked for the story or you don't wanna do the story, someone else does the story and you can wow, like, you can relate to it, right? You can say even though it was 2 people that, in that case, did the story, we picked her story. It was very, very similar to what I was going through at the time, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go there to support my colleague, friend," and I came crying. So, like, feeling so good and so, like, relieved and just I got so much out of it, and I just find psychodrama, even astrology or just hypnotherapy, it just tapping into your subconscious is very powerful, and we don't always these are practices that can be fun and interactive or deeper, and you don't know what you're gonna get, and usually it's for your highest good. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's but it just became very interactive, the psychodrama piece, the astrology piece, and yet people came out with something, right, for themselves. And that's why we stand by the you're going to get what you're meant to receive. Because we can't say, oh, you're going to be healed. We can't say any of that. We have to say, you're going to get what you're meant to receive. Even if it's just being in community, it's very powerful. Like Sam said, that's why the cultural piece is super important. That's why we got a conguera. That's why we had the instruments that we would have at our family parties in PR. That's why we moved, if it felt aligned for us as she was playing. And it was just really important for us to get the spiritual piece and the community piece and the cultural piece, aside from what we're bringing.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't know what to expect with psychodrama because you're stepping into something
Yeah.
no clue what it is and how you explained it, and then everybody got into it. It was just like, I'll be the mom,
Yeah.
and
Yes,
then like,
yes.
oh, I'll be this. Like I'm that character. Like I can be this.
Yeah, yeah.
So it made it fun as well as kind of very intimate. And it was enlightening because for me it was just like whether you were acting it out or you were reverse rolling, like it shifts your perspective. And I
Yes.
think that's the biggest issue, like with people where they can only see their perspective, but then when you see it outside of yourself, like it broadens your view type of thing. So it was really interesting because everybody had to do a different group. So you're witnessing, part of you as a witness and then part of you as a participant. So you got to have both sides of it, and then everybody got to share. Even just sometimes somebody can relate to it and have a different perspective of it, and that helps the other person. So it was nice to be part of that experience of just sharing your perspective and touching other people in that sense.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so in psychodrama, and both you and Melissa touched on a couple of things, because people hear psychodrama and they're like, psychodrama, well, what is it? But that's, essentially what you experienced is like some of the really powerful pieces of the storytelling. So in psychodrama, when you do it in a group, is a collective process, which means that there's different exercises that we do to kind of get warmed up to what our inner process is. And sometimes there's a theme that we present with when we're doing work around psychodrama. For our first retreat, it was around threshold. And I won't share around people's individual stories,
Mhm.
for just to honor the privacy and the work of the day. But around threshold, we have these themes around, what is this, what is the story that you want to tell. And and you can tell these stories using your body, using scarves, using props. The story can be just you, like my story is that I am a beautiful statue, right? Or maybe your story involves interacting with someone from the past, present, or future. And because it's a collaborative process in your storytelling, you can have people, you can choose folks to hold roles in your story. So if someone is saying, I really want to tell a story where I get to tell my mother something that was really important for her to know about me. And this is what I choose to tell her. Well, who in the group can be your mother, right?
Right.
And
Mhm.
then who in the group can be you? So you can watch yourself telling your mother and see how that feels. Do you want to step into your mother's role and see what it feels like to hear those words? And then from her perspective, speak, right? And so that it happens really fast. And to be honest, it sounds a little confusing when you're explaining it, but when people see it, they know exactly what to do. They're like, I'm going to be your mom. I'm going to be your dog. Yep, I got it, right? Because we're all tapped into our creative process. And what happens is that there's a lot of empathy and a lot of connection. And that's what community healing is, right? Is like, can I have empathy for you? Can I connect to this, to what you're sharing? And even if the connection isn't identical, right? Even though I haven't experienced what you've experienced, I know this. I know this feeling. This is something that I have. And that connection is what's powerful. But the beautiful thing about psychodrama is there's sharing. So after action, we all come together and we get to talk about what we witnessed and how it made us feel and and how it connected to us. What is it about watching this that helped me? So what's really beautiful about that is that even if you're not active and out here, you are still part of the group. You are still part of this process because you're a witness and the words in your share could help someone else, right? So
Mhm.
if some, so Melissa coming and being part of the onsite, there was something about what she shared that was helpful to the other people in the room and just like she received something from being, someone else did too, and through that process we all get to in a way heal each other a little bit. So it's a really, really embodied practice. And like many things embodied, right, can feel a little off-putting because the world of therapy is very much like talk, talk, talk,
Mhm.
and Melissa and I are very much like feel, move, right? Music and how do we heal without speaking and what is, what are all the other parts of our experience? So yeah, so in the retreat I bring the psychodrama pieces and Melissa brings the astrology and Melissa brings the music, which is so
Always.
important, because she is so musically gifted and talented. And this is a language that she knows. So she puts together like beautiful, beautiful playlists for our days. I listen to Melissa's playlist while I journal. Her rise, there's 4 of them. We got 4 Rise and Reflect
Oh my
playlists.
God, for real. We have
We
like
do. We
4.
got 4.
But
And
keep
they
adding.
each bring up different things. They each bring up different things. There's one I listen to when I want to journal deep. There's one I listen to when I want to connect to like the
We
joy
get
of my
to it.
femininity. You know what we gotta share. We gotta share it with Sam and
I know
and
Bad
with
Bunny's in
Susanna.
there somewhere.
He's in
Yeah.
all of them. Even the feeling deep one. Even the one
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm feeling
yeah.
deep and deep in my
Mhm.
heart. And
Singing
Mhm.
about Puerto
Yeah.
Rico. He's
Yeah.
even
I
And
was
like
then you
glad.
hear ask Ida the other day. I was like, oh my God, I have to find a way to bring Preciosa into this retreat. And she's like, "No, now you're going too far."
no, I'm here for it. I'm like,
I'm like,
let's do it.
I'll bring the flag. My brother
Yeah.
gave me a big flag for my birthday. It's obnoxiously big, but hey, why not?
Gorgeous. It's beautiful.
I have to ask, what do you like best about each other?
Mhm.
I love that question. Do you want Yes. Melissa, do you want to go? I'm ready.
Go
Do you
ahead.
want me to go first? Oh my
Sure.
goodness.
She likes that I bring the flag to the retreat.
There's so many things that I love about Melissa. The first thing that I think about is I think about how she reminds me of my really cool older cousins. When I was like in middle school and a little younger than middle school, my cousins were like the coolest girls ever. They dressed cool, they had like cool jewelry and they did cool things. And like, they knew how to like gel their hair perfect. So the
Mhm.
curl was perfect without like the white residue and
Mhm.
like how to like tuck in like the like the Tommy Hilfiger shirt perfectly with like cinch at the waist. And I remember I would watch when they would just do cool stuff. And also they were Latina. They were like these like really beautiful Latina girls, with the lip liner and the lipstick and the going out there and like and the feminine. But it was like this strong, like these like strong, cool, feminine, Puerto Rican, urban, like all this stuff that like I was like skinny and buck tooth and being like, maybe one day I could be cool like them. Um, and
You
Melissa,
provide.
Melissa has, yeah, and Melissa gives off that energy, that kind of like confidence, like that really confident energy in that, I know who I am and this is who I am. And these are the parts of me that make me cool, and I don't know if that's like a New Yorker thing. Cause maybe it is like, cause sometimes I think like maybe that's like a East Coast thing or New Yorker thing. Like there's like a embodied coolness. But for me, it's the confidence. And so I really love that about Melissa. And I also love her, just like her faith. Like even with this retreat, I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, you know what? We're going to just ask for it and we're going to see. And it's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's ask for it. Let's see. And it works out, or
Mhm.
like, Ida, this is going to work out. Okay, great. Like, you're right. Let me trust this. So there's like a quiet confidence here that I feel like my anxious perfectionisty soul feels like, oh, okay, this is, this
Trust.
is, yeah,
Trust.
this
Trust the
trust here.
process.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
like kind of trust the process. I love that about her. And she's real. She's so down to earth. How we talk now is the same way we talked when we first met. She's very down to earth and very real and clear and passionate and so intelligent. So I think this has been a beautiful collaboration. I'm excited. It's fun. Sometimes we get excited. Lately, it's been hard to get excited because I think we've both been tired. I think this summer has been active. In past, retreat plannings, we're sending voice notes to each other because we can't, because the text is going to be too long. And there's just this energy, and when we collaborate, the energy is there, and I think we both work really well together because we're honest with each other. We check in and like, yeah, I'm tired this week. I have this going on. Get it? What do you need? What is it that you need? Let's be honest. Do you think we can do this? And we have these check-ins with each other. So it doesn't feel like we're pressuring each other or, and we talk about that to do something well in this way, we really need to come to it from a grounded and honest and connected place. So, so these are some things. And I think she's remarkably cool. That's the energy that I thought about
Ida,
that the first time I met her. So
Ida,
she's
if
cool.
you only knew her in the 90s with that lip liner, if you only knew
It was bad.
Melly. And
Oh,
actually, the color I'm wearing now
is what
was
I
the
wore.
lipstick
The
Wine
burgundy.
with
That
Everything by
one was.
Revlon. Remember
The
that?
wine with everything. Yeah. And then
What was the name of the lipstick?
Revlon Wine with Everything. It was this color.
I think I remember.
I'll go what I love. I mean, I love too many things as well, and thank you for your wonderful things that you said. For me, one thing that stands out, it's funny that you say that at the end. And I think, we're all mirrors of each other, right? Because the moments that I do worry, oh my God, are we going to have enough people? And, and you're putting all this into it. She's the one, whoever's meant to be is meant to be. So it's funny that you say that because you've said that, you've said that to me once or twice. And so I think we've got each other's back. Like when one kind of wavers and the other one is like, we got this. Like yesterday, I was like, we were both like, I don't know what we said, but all of a sudden today we got a sign up, and we got
Yeah.
we get excited, so it's a very, just a compatible thing. And I love her groundedness. I think, the mirroring is, she is very grounded and you are very grounded, and you at the same time, are realistic. Like, this is out of my bandwidth. I cannot put my energy into this right now. So there is that honesty, which I appreciate because I value authenticity so much. And I think that from you too. And also she's funny and she's fun. Like you came for my birthday and she's coming out with these outlandish comments. And I was like, it's like, even though we're real with each other and we don't go out to like a bar or a club or anything, So when we did, or the few times we have, actually it was a networking event and at a bar. And it
Mhm.
was like, when we have, it's like, I see the real you. I see, I get to know you in that way, that fun, flighty, like, feisty, but in a good way, And I love that because that's a little bit me, right? And so it's like, oh, she's got all these sides to her in a good way. And she's a brilliant psychodramatist. I really feel like you are in your glory, you're in your element, you are shining. Like, I watch her like doing this, facilitating this, and this is not easy. This is years and years to get certified. This is not an easy 1 year, 6-month training. This is years. And so you have to love it. And so I think you shine when you facilitate, you shine. Like when I take a video for marketing purposes, she's like, her eyes are like this. The way that I look with astrology, you look like psychodrama, because I've been told that about astrology. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much, Melissa.
Would you guys ever do it for men?
Yes. Oh, I would.
Yeah, I think we would. We've
I would.
talked about, yes, we've talked about like we'll even talk about like, okay, rise and reflect, women of color, do we ever want to change that? And I think what we talked about was, what would it look like to just have other offerings, that if we have rise and reflect and the way we have it now works, what would it look like to offer additional offerings or change this. So I think we are definitely open to that. And we've talked about how we could even do standalone workshops like around astrology. I think that's something that would be really beautiful to do together. Me supporting Melissa with, the psychodrama pieces. So these are just some things that we play around with. But I think we're in our own process around that because I think when we do that, the timing has to be like, the timing has to be good for that. But there's a lot of things that we talk about doing and seeing if we would offer it to other people. And I feel comfortable, doing that.
Would
I
you ever expand to like multiple days, like it being like a weekend retreat or a treat, we'll go to like not a spa, but like we'll go to this place and you know, I think that would be good because I felt like it was great for a one-day event, but I wanted more.
Mhm.
Yay!
Ooh, I love
That's good
that. I love to
feedback.
hear
Yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, we haven't talked about it in detail, but I know I've thought about a
Yeah.
weekend and then one day Puerto Rico, because
That's what
I've
I'm
thought
saying. We
about
need the bonfire on the beach.
Yeah. Oh
Mhm.
my
we
God,
could do upstate
this
or
sounds
we could do upstate
lovely.
and have a bonfire and do what we
Yeah.
do up there.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Well, I will plant this seed in your head because I see this for you guys is that, and even what you're saying, that I think is really important for women to realize. Just when my kids were young, like for me to go away, even though it was a lot for me to go away, but to go away with women and connect and fill my cup where it's so overflowing that I come back a better wife, a better mother, like completely rejuvenated in a way that I can serve my family from an overfilled cup. And I think that you guys have the capacity to do that. Yes. So, and even as a facilitator, it would fill your cup. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there is a connection there for you as well.
Yeah.
It's an inspiration of being like expanding and your bandwidth and taking from that back, re-energizing yourself as well. Like you're serving, but you're also receiving back because people are really present. And I think women witnessing each other, being in community, connecting real, it's like when you go to lunch with your best friend, you go
Yeah.
home and you're just like, oh my God, I've been revitalized. I'm putting it out there for you guys. That's what you have to ever, stepping stones. But I do have a question because we've all been raised by Latina mothers and we know how our mothers are funny and dramatic and spicy. What is a quote your mom said to you growing up that you remember?
Oh
My
my
mom had a
goodness.
lot of them.
Oh my goodness. A quote that my mom said to me. You know what? I kind of don't want to say because a lot of them were like regaños.
Mhm.
You know,
I
like
know.
I don't know. Part of me's like, oh my God. So I haven't thought of the, like
Fun.
no, yeah, no me busque que me va a encontrar. Like I just feel like that, but that was not an inspirational quote. That was a warning.
It doesn't have to be inspirational.
Doesn't have
Some
to
of
be
them weren't.
Yeah.
Some of them were meant to shock you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that might be a little bit more like chancla,
Mhm.
than more like anything else. But I remember her saying that. And she would say things to me, like if I had doubt about something, I'm like, she would say, Aidita, el sol no se tapa con la mano. Like, like what's here is what's here, and you have to face it. Like I remember her would say that, she would kind of say that about if I was angry about something that to me wasn't as obvious, if there was a reality that I didn't want to accept. Her and we recently talked where I asked her like, what was your impression of me when I was growing up? And she said, she goes, you were so easy. She goes, you were so sweet and you were so smart, but you had this attitude. You would get this attitude. And I'm like, really? Because my mom was like a yes ma'am kind of mom. So I'm like, really? Attitude? But she said, no, not like an attitude with me. You would get like into, like I would get into like these like kind of funks and she would try to help me out. And my mother's not a very like her and I like growing up. She's not kind of like she's a Latin. She's a Puerto Rican old school mom. Like she was not necessarily like here to sit with me and hold my hand through my feelings. I remember she would say, well, "Go sweep, go clean." Like, oh, you're upset about something, go sweep, go clean. Very much like move. Move through it. But those are just some things I think about that she used to say. Oh, and I have to say this, and my mom might watch this podcast. She watches everything I post on IG.
Oh.
Yeah, even though she doesn't tell me, I could tell that she's looked at it. But my mother, is very much about, a ti te tienen que respetar. You have to be respected. And so you have to show people that you respect yourself. That was something that she instilled a lot in me and my siblings. And what she meant by that was, take a look in the mirror. How are you dressed? Are you dressed in a way that shows that you love yourself, in a way that you respect yourself? Are you carrying yourself in a way where you respect yourself? Not like mold yourself to other people's expectations. No, because she has a defiant spirit sometimes. She goes, no, you have to respect yourself. You can't demand you can't demand the respect of others. You have to respect yourself first. And she's a hairstylist. She's a beautician. So, make sure your hair is brushed and it looks good before you leave the house. No te ve mal peinada. And then this is the last one I'll say. When you couldn't make a decision, she go, Aidita. Aidita's my nickname, because her name is Aida, so I'm little Aida. Aidita, ¿te peina o te hace rolo? She used to say that. I know, she would be like, ¿te peina o te hace rolo? Which the translation is are you gonna blow dry your hair? Or are you gonna roll it up? She would say that, ¿te peina o te hace
Not
rolo?
literally.
Yeah.
It's like, what choice are you making?
What choice are you making? What are we doing here? What are you doing here? So she used to say that. Thanks, mommy. Gracias, mommy.
Oh my God. What was the question? Was it inspiring or was it just funny?
It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't matter.
My mother's
No, it
was
was
not.
more like funny.
My mother was like, you'll always know who your mother is, but your father can be anyone.
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that?
Your father could be anyone, she said?
Now
Oh,
you're
shit.
supposed to doubt? What do you
It's so funny, the things you recall. The first thing I thought of was oh my God, my mom, how I used to get in trouble. No me busque, que me va a encontrar. I could still even hear her voice. Oh, I wish there were words of affirmation. Instead, it was putting the fear of God in me.
It's so funny you brought this, you guys asked this, because I was listening to Abuelita by Hector Lavoe, and he one of the things in the song, he's saying the refranes de Abuelita, and my grandmother is infamous for having all the funny sayings, the Puerto Rican sayings. And it's really cute. And, I had an Akashic reading recently, and my grandma came through, Mami Goya, and the lady said, it's like a grandmother warrior spirit. And I always think my grandmother has a warrior spirit. She's a strong, ahead of her time. And she said, she's saying a bunch of sayings. I don't understand them, but she's just saying a lot of sayings. And I'm like, because she's known. So she's trying to say, okay, well, she will know it's me through. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, well, is she saying them in Spanish? Because she only said them in Spanish. And then she goes, yeah, I'll get the gist of it. And it was part of her guiding me in that moment about what she wanted to say. But that's how she showed herself. So it's just so cute. So my mom would say, we would say, Mami, ¿para dónde tú vas? Where are you going? And she goes, para Isla de los Morovis. That was her signature. Don't ask me. I'm going to go wherever I want. Morovis is some town in Puerto Rico that's super far. So basically what it means is I'm going far. Just don't ask me where I'm going. Leave me alone kind of thing. But it was all the time. And then sometimes she would say it as a joke, ¿para dónde tú vas? Para la Isla de los Morovis, and things like that. So that's one. The other one is the wisdom one, which I actually agree with her now, which is dime con quién tú eres. So that's who you with, and I'll tell you who you are. Obviously, it's
My
deeper
mother
than
said
that.
that too.
But I agree with that now that I'm an adult, and that, not entirely, of course, because, we're not going to be so super literal, but you are, yes, who you surround yourself with is super important. And every person that she didn't like, as far as a friend, she was always right about it. Her mother's intuition was always there, but she let me figure it out. And what else?
Macaria.
Macaria. That was just her. I don't know where she got that.
All the time.
It came out of nowhere. She
Macaria.
called herself Macaria, and then her friends, they called each other Macaria. We cannot explain that one. There's no explanation for that. It's just a joke. It's just cute. I don't
Miss
remember.
her.
She said other things. Oh, one day she said this about herself, but I don't agree with this saying. She said it about herself. She had opinions, and she's like, no, calladita me veo más bonita. And let's not translate that literally, because we don't really want to do that. But it speaks to what they were taught, what they were, put on, which is staying quiet, I look prettier, which, yeah. So she would say that sometimes, but more about herself. She didn't say it to me. She never put that on me. She actually she wanted me to be a strong woman. She was just very You got to get your education. You never want to be in a position where anyone, if anyone does anything, you could get up and walk away because you have a profession and whatnot. So she was actually the opposite, but sometimes it was out of fear. It was just
Mhm.
generational trauma. That's how it was.
Yeah.
So October 18th, it's a Saturday. Rise and
October
reflect.
18th from
Mhm.
10 to 5.
10 to
This is
5.
in Montclair, New Jersey.
And how do you sign up?
And so we have the flyer. We have it on Instagram if you want to follow both of us, holistic_terapista. And
How do you get tickets?
the QR code is on the flyer. So either uh, holistic_terapista in Instagram, or Ida, can you say yours?
Sure. So I'm at colibri.counseling.nj, or you could search Instagram Ida Hernandez LPC, and the link to register is in my bio. You can also go to my website, Colibri, COLIBRI, counseling.co. So if you go to colibricounseling.co, there's a banner at the top of the page and you can click to register. It'll take you right to the Eventbrite page to
Nice.
register.
Yeah. Same thing with with my IG link in bio, and also you can pay through Venmo if you want. But
Mhm.
any
You can-
questions anyone has, feel free to reach out to both of us. If you're on the fence, if you want to know more, just hit us up.
Yeah.
And they can find you on Eventbrite as well, right? If they search.
Yes, you can search Rise and Reflect Retreat on Eventbrite and it could come up. And, Montclair, New Jersey is very close to the New York metro area. Trains that go to Montclair directly from New York. It's about a 25 to 30-minute drive outside of New York City. And so it's really centrally located to New York, northern parts of New Jersey, and other parts of New Jersey, central and south. So that's one of the reasons why we picked Montclair too.
It's beautiful there. I love Montclair.
Yeah, it's a
It was a nice
beautiful
area.
town.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, I was gonna say if it felt like our conversations that we have all the time. So